Hi friends, this is Nitesh Kumar Brother. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will discuss about the client-server interaction and web document transport and HTTP. Let us understand about the client-server interaction. Uh, when client and server communicates, they exchange the individual messages. The message sent by the client or a browser are called as request, and the message sent by the server are called as responses or answers. Usually when browsers sends the request to the server, based on the request of the browser, the server works and responds, which are called as the answer. This figure will illustrates and gives you the idea about how the interaction will take place between the client and server. Now in this figure you can see this is a web server, this is a video server and ADS server. Now assume that this is a browser. Okay, now client is requesting for image, ADS and videos. Now these are the requests made by the client. So you can put a request with the help of the internet to the servers. Okay, when you put the request to the servers, it will be connected with the help of the internet. Now when the request is placed, request is placed for a particular server receives those requests and respond to those requests. Say layout.css might be available in the web server, so web server will respond to this first request and gives the layout.css. Similarly, image, page, video, ADS. So like these responses can be again getting by the web document. Now web document transport and HTTP. So HTTP is a protocol which we use to fetch the resources from the server, such as HTML document. So HTML document means in the previous example we have page.html. So request is made for the page.html. So it is available in a web server. So we can fetch that page.html to the browser. So that request is made with the help of the HTTP protocol. It is the foundation of any data exchange on the web, and it is a client server protocol. Means HTTP is a client server protocol, which means the requests are initiated by the browsers or the recipients, and a complete document is reconstructed from the different subdocument fetched. For instance, text, layout, description, images, videos, scripts and more from the server to browser. This is an example of the web document HTTP. So web document transport and HTTP. This figure will illustrate, if you have the web, you need to have the HTML, CSS. You can interact with these languages, these markup languages, HTML markup language, cascading style sheet, and you may have the web APIs, and you may have the JavaScript also. Okay, and HTTP is a protocol which allows you to fetch the data from the server to your browser. And we use the DNS, domain name system. It is a hierarchical and decentralized naming system for the computers or the services or other resources connected to the internet, by which we can able to access whatever the resource we want. We have TLS, that is the transport layer security. It is widely used to adapt the security protocols. For the security protocols, we use the TLS. Similarly, we have TCP, transmission control protocol, and we use the transmission control protocol for the client server interaction purpose. We have UDP also, user datagram protocol, which is one of the core members of the internet protocol suite, IP suite, and used for establishing the low tendency and loss tolerating connections between the applications on the internet. And we have IP also, internet protocols. Now the components of the HTTP based systems. We have components like when we have the client server protocol, like HTTP is a client server protocol. Requests are always sent by one entity, the user agent or proxy on behalf of it. So most of the time user agent is a web browser. So request is always made by the web browser, but it can't be anything. For example, a robot that crawls the web to populate and maintain a search engine index. The second component is we use the proxies, because each individual request is sent to server, which handles it and provides an answer called responses. Between the client and server, there are numerous entities which are called as proxies, which performs the different operations and acts as a gateway. And you can find those proxies in between the client and server. Any request is made behalf of the client also, proxy place the request to the server, and when you obtain the responses or answers from the server, it might be directly you can get it, or with the help of the proxies, because we say the numerous entities are between the client and servers, which performs the different operations and acts like a gateway. The features of the HTTP. There are three features we have for the HTTP: connectionless protocol, because HTTP is a connectionless protocol, because the client initiates the request and waits for the response from the server. When the server receives the request, the server processes the request and sends back that response to the HTTP client, after which the client disconnects the connection. Means when the request is placed by the web browser, so based on the request, the server responses, and once the response has been made to the client, the connection is disconnected. Again, web browser request for the second time to the server, again the connection is established. So therefore it is called connectionless protocol. Second is the media independent. HTTP is not required any kind of media, so it is not dependent on any media. So HTTP protocol is media independent, as the data can be sent as long as the both client and server knows how to handle the specific data contains. So therefore, when both server and client knows about how to handle the data content, so therefore it is not dependent on any media. And the third is stateless. So HTTP is a stateless protocol, as both client and server knows each other only during the current request. Thereafter they not required to know about each other. So when the current session is going on, then only they should know about each other. So due to this nature of the protocol, both the client and server do not retain the information between various requests of the web pages. Now this figure will give you the clear picture about the HTTP transaction, how the transaction take place between the client and server. Now this computer is a client and this one is a server. Now you can see in this figure the request is made by the client and that request goes to server, and server respond to the request, and this is a response which again goes back to the client. Okay, now even the description is given at the below. Okay, so as stated, the above figure shows the HTTP transaction between the client and server. Okay, the client initiate the transaction, so this will initiate the transaction by sending a request, because until the request is made to the server, request will not send any information to the client, because server doesn't know what information is client required. So therefore the initiation or initiate has been taken by the client by sending the request message to the server. Then the server replies to the request message by sending a response message. Okay, this is how transaction take place between the client and server. Now coming to the message are of two types. One is called the request message, another one is called the response message. As we know that request message is sent by the client, whereas the response message is responded by the server. So both the message types we can see one by one. So message is related to the request also, for the response also. Now in this slide you can see we have a request message. In the request message, this is always sent by the client, that consists of request line, header, and sometimes a body also. Okay, request line, header, a blank line, and body. So it is sent by the client to the server. Now when server responses and sends a message to the client, okay, the response message is sent by the server to the client, that consists of the status line. Okay, status means what kind of response the client is getting, the status of the message, header of the message, a blank line, and the body present. So in the some message. Okay, coming to the URL is known as Uniform Resource Locator. A client that wants to access the document in an internet needs an address and facilitates the access of the document. The HTTP uses the concept of URL. Over the internet, you want to access any resource or document, you should have the URL, that is the Uniform Resource Locator. So Uniform Resource Locator locates the resources available over the internet. So uniform means it is uniformly available resources over the internet. URL is a standard way of specifying any kind of information on the internet, because the two resources will not be having the same location. The two resources will have the different location. For accessing those locations, we need to have the URL. Okay, the URL defines four parts: method, host, computer, method, host, computer, port, and path. Let us see these four parts. Okay, now URL is having method. Okay, what method we are using? For example, HTTP is the method. Okay, host computer. Okay, host is the computer where the information is stored. Okay, so the resource which we want, or the document which we want, where it is stored, that is the host. Okay, now you can see the host is the computer where the information is stored, and the computer is given an alias name. Web pages are mainly stored in the computer, and computers are given an alias name that begin with the characters www. This field is not mandatory. Okay, so World Wide Web, so where exactly it is stored, so that we can access with the help of port number and path. As port is a URL, okay, uniform resource locator, so it actually finds where exactly the resource is available. So therefore we need to have the third part in the URL, that is the port. URL can also contain the port number of the server. Okay, port number of the server, but it is an optional field. If the port number is included, then it must come between the host and path, and it should separated from the host by colon. Okay, so host by colon, so we have mentioned it here, colon. Okay, now path is the path name of the file where the information is stored. The path itself contains the slashes that separates the directory from the subdirectory and files. For example, we write www dot, okay, say XYZ company name, say ABC is the name of the company. Okay, www.abc.com. Okay, so this is the end of the host and port. Okay, so we are just finding the resources or information stored on particular host, that is abc.com slash about us. So that about us is the path. Okay, that about us is the path name or the file name where the information about that ABC company is stored. The path itself contains the slashes. So if we have more slashes, means we have directories and subdirectories. Okay, this is how we can use the URL and its four parts. Okay, now coming to the web browser. So web browser is a software application for retrieving, presenting, and traversing the information resources on www. So web browser, popular web browsers are like Internet Explorer, Mozilla, Google Chrome, etc. So these web browsers are simply a software application for retrieving and presenting and traversing the information resources on the www. Okay, an information resource is identified by URI, that is Uniform Resource Identifier, and maybe a web page, image, video, or other piece of content. Hyperlink present in resources enable user to easily to navigate their browser to relate the resources. Okay, like I have mentioned it, some of the popular or majorly used web browsers: Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, Apple Safari, and Opera. Okay, the primary use of the web browsers are intended to access the www world wide webs. Okay, they can also be used to access the information provided by web servers and private networks. If we have the private network, we can use the private network resources also with the help of the web browsers. Behind the scene, browser does the other functions as well. And simply, when I work on the Internet Explorer, Mozilla, or Chrome, I doesn't understand how it is working or how it is retrieving, fetching, and presenting the information. Behind the scene also, web browser does the numerous functions. So I have listed few functions which the browser performs behind the scene. That is caching, keep the local copies of document that have been downloaded and viewed before. So recently viewed documents and downloaded copies, it keeps in cache so that easily retrieving and fast accessing can be possible. So I can see how many documents recently have been downloaded and what are all the web pages have been viewed before me. Authenticating, validate the credential of the user when visiting a secure website. So generally we say that username and password. So credentials, the username and password authenticated, and then only you are allowed to visit the websites or access the web pages. State maintenance, keep the cookies with a session across many request response transactions. On demand downloading, like HTML document is being rendered and missing items will be downloaded on demand. So on demand means you will be getting a small yellow color strip. When you click on the button, you will be getting a small pop-up menu. You can allow some of the files, some of the documents which is not opening on your web browser. So you may allow those CSS style sheets or JavaScript code or images, audio, videos. Okay. Header processing. Header processing means sometimes your website may be redirected to some other web pages, so that also does by the browser. Content type processing, process the embedded content, for example say image formats, audio formats, video formats. So these things will work behind the scene and handling the errors. Sometimes we might get the errors, it doesn't show those errors, it simply display the content. So those all errors has been handled and displayed behind the scene, so we can't actually find those errors. Generally we make some of the mistakes in the HTML document, but we can't find those mistakes, we simply get the text on the web page. So these are the some of the functions which perform by the browser behind the scene. Now this is the browser reference architecture. How the browser reference architecture look like user interface is there. So user interface with the browser engine, okay, and also user interface with the data persistence browser also, rendering the engine, and then network, Java interpreter if you are accessing or using the XML files, so XML parser will be there. Okay, and display backends. So these are the browser reference architecture. So for the browser we use this architecture. So this is the standard architecture used for the browser reference purposes. Okay, for the browser we require the networking also. If you are having the JavaScript code, so JavaScript interpreter is needed. For the XML file we need a parser. So here is a scenario of how the information is flowed inside a browser. A user clicks a link or submit a URL address. A request is prepared, means request is generated. Okay, if the request resource is in cache, then skip the step number 4, that is the request is transmitted. It's already in, if it is available in the cache, so a request is transmitted, so we can skip this one. So already it is in cache. If the response arrives, means server gives us the response, authentication is done. Okay, it requires that in authentication, then authenticates the user. So whether the receiving authority is the valid user or invalid user, so we have to identify the authentication of the user, and thereafter we can represent that content to that user. If a response saves or reads a cookies, then retrieves the data. If the user configures the browser, then change the browser preferences. Okay, if all request data are available, then render the page. Render the page means presenting the page, and user can interface with that page. Now coming to the web document, a web page or a web document is commonly written in HTML language that is accessible through the internet or other network using internet browser. A web page is accessed by entering URL, Uniform Resource Locator. Locator is for where exactly the HTML document is located or page is located. So for getting those pages locations, we use the URL. May contain the text, graphic, hyperlinks to other web pages and files. 3 basic types of web documents we find. One is static web document, second is dynamic, third is the active web document. Static web document resides in a file like a HTML file that is associated with the web server. The author of the static document determines the content at the time the document is written, because the content do not change each request for static document result in exactly the same response. Whereas the dynamic web pages does not exist in a predefined form. When a request arrives, means when browser request, so based on the request, web server runs an application program and then it creates the document. Whereas the active web document consists of a computer program that the server sends the browser and that the browser must run locally. When it runs, the active document program can interact with the user and change the display continuously. So based on the request of the user, it changes and displays continuously. So that is the use of the active web document, or you can say active web pages. Now the implementation of the dynamic document. The server program must be extended so it is capable of executing a separated application program that creates a document each time a request arrives. So when the request arrives, then only it change the execution mode and execution of the documents and the information. So therefore it is called dynamic document. Second is separated application program must be written for each dynamic document. Means we must have written a separate application for each dynamic document. When requests are different, we must have the different documents. The server must be configured so it known which URL correspond to dynamic document and which correspond to static document. Thank you for watching this video.